Hello, we're here on Tenerife again, and I'd like to show you one of the ANKARAMITE dykes. So this is on the northeast drift zone, the long ridge, and the ridge has a lot of dykes. So here we have eroded the ridge a little bit and we can look into it, and here we see these kind of amazing features, and there we have drilled them a few years ago for several papers, and I can put the papers in the little box underneath, but you see it's a very crystal rich rock. So here you see the pyroxene crystals, and quite a lot of them, and the greenish brownish material here, that's the olivine. Let's see whether I can go in a little further. And this is a supercrystal rich rock, and some of the crystals are pretty big, and these crystals come from very deep, and we believe that these crystal rich magmas come up in association with landslide, that there is a decompression from removing, say, something like 1 kilometer of overburden, and then this will decompress the edifice and the magma plumbing system, and then these things come up. But here we have something intriguing, and this is why we drilled it at the time. Here at the margin of the dike, we actually have a chilled margin on the very outer end, and there's very few crystals. And then the further in we go, the more crystals we see and the larger the crystals get. And here, for example, we have pretty large crystals, and there's a fresh surface, and we can actually look inside. So, and if we kind of move around to the other side here, more crystals, loads of crystals, big nice pyroxene crystals. And then we move out here to the margin, and the crystallinity drops. So there is crystals in there, but very small, very few, and this is a bit puzzling. And one of the explanations for this is what's called flow differentiation, and that is that big crystals are bouncing off the margin of such a dike, of such a flow, and they're kind of bouncing into the interior, and that's where they get stuck. Now, I mean, this has been experimentally tested with particulate flow. So this is a reality, the process is real, and this might actually mean that this is the key explanation for these crystals. Another explanation could be that we are thinking about pulses here, pulses of flow, that the crystal rich material came later and the crystal poor material came first, which is also an option. But we don't really see a clear flow boundary here. And here, for example, it's not so convincing. Here as well, it's kind of not as strong. It weathers differently, yes, but it's not that there's a chilled margin or so. But maybe it is. So these are the two rival hypotheses here. My preferred one is the flow differentiation one, but I don't quite know. Now here, up there, we also drilled a bit a few years ago. So I'll bring you up here now. And here's the old kind of drilling traverse. And here we see the crystal poor facies and the crystal rich facies side by side. So here I could almost say, well, maybe it is actually a bit of this concept of different pulses. So I haven't fully made up my mind, as you can probably tell, about these two explanations. But looking down there into the valley, we're just above the Orotava Valley, the big landslide valley, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later. And there's our car. We're driving up the hill now. Juan Carlos is waiting for me downstairs. So this is our route up the Teide. Gorgeous day. And last look at the dike here. Wonderful ANKARAMITE dike. And this is about, I'd say about 500,000 years old. Something like this. And yeah, a few 100,000 years. So, and this has not been dated to the best of my knowledge, but it's associated with the Orotava slide, and that was about 500,000 years ago. So this is the age of this wonderful rock exposed here along the road, TF21, and makes for a gorgeous stop with the students, and wonderful petrology spot to look at. And yeah, we're gonna follow the motorcycles up the hill now. Thank you very much. More later. All the best.